What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the PlayStation Theater, and today we are here with Eluveitie. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. It's so great to have you here. Your new record, Ategnatos, is absolutely beautiful. Do you just want to talk about how the making of this record was, the recording, mixing, all that fun stuff?
Sure. I would say it was a slightly different approach for this one. Do you actually want me to hold the
No.
microphone? Okay. Um, yeah. On one side, it's like the musical aspect was, the way we developed as a band was how do you say, um, back in the day, 10 years ago, I basically wrote every little detail, like every little note for every instrument and everything, and that changed a lot over the years, which is great, I think. And when we recorded our second last album, the acoustic one, there was it was a really really creative atmosphere in the studio, and also like virtually the whole production time, the whole band was there. Even the people who were not recording at the time, they were still just there to be part of it, or to cook for everybody else or what the fuck ever. And then, all day long, like in every corner of the studio, some band members were just sitting together, brooding over some details and or jamming or whatever. And this development even grew more when we started working on Ategnatos. And so we decided that we had actually want to work together also geographically, because like we all live pretty far from each other. So it was almost for half a year that I actually moved to Jonas. I was our guitar player. I was living on his couch basically for half a year, and just every day we just sat together and worked on the songs, and every now and then someone else joined in. Like a lot of times, Fabi, a female vocalist, joined in, and we just worked together. And this just created like a whole different dynamic, I would say. And it's actually not even so much the time that we actually worked together. It turned out the times after the work became so important for that album. Just like when we got back home, 10 in the evening or something like that, and then we just sat in a park on a bench, drank a bottle of wine or something. These times were so incredibly inspirational. I mean, just by talking about ideas and stuff. So that was a pretty different approach. But I would say it's also the lyrical aspect. I mean, the album kind of contemplates archetypal images from ancient Celtic mythology, and what we did is, we didn't want to just write lyrics about it or something like that. It's actually more that we ourselves did contemplate these ancient words of wisdom, and it just almost became kind of a spiritual journey or something like that, and became a pretty intense experience. And also that actually shaped the whole album and the whole production.
Yeah. You mentioned like there's a story, and I feel like a lot of Eluveitie albums are almost kind of like a series of different stories. Like I thought that the Pantheon series really had like an interesting sort of concept behind it. So do you think of a story beforehand and write music according to that, and maybe the story could help determine the music? Or do you need to have like some notes or some music written down before a story comes to mind?
No, it's actually exactly like you said. I mean, when we decide to create a new album, the first thing I need to do is to basically create a kind of a concept and a blueprint. I need basically an image of the final album, also including the artwork and everything, in front of my inner eye before I actually want to start working. So like once we actually start composing the particular songs, we already know what kind of songs there will be on the album, also like how many songs there will be, and also we know exactly what the particular songs are about. And this is something super important to us, because we don't want to just write random songs and then at some point add random lyrics to it, but we want that our songs also musically express what the lyrics are about. This is something very important to us.
So, can the album be open to interpretation for a listener, or are you trying to maybe engage the listener into the story to sort of see what you were trying to say?
No, I mean there's always like hell of a lot of meaning to the lyrics, and also that's something very important. I mean we give the lyrics as much attention as we give the music, um, but I always write the lyrics in a way that they are, like totally open for interpretation, and like even a lot of lyrics, I would say, if you just read them, a lot of them you probably won't even understand really. Like, I mean, if you want to get uh, the actual meaning, you really need to deal with the topic and read some more about it and stuff. Which is also why, like, we always do like this extended version, digipack edition of our albums, where I usually include a separate booklet with just historical backgrounds and some scientific notes on the lyrics and particular things, just explaining everything for those who want to deal with it.
Very interesting way of putting it. But what I'm curious is because you have obviously the metal instruments with drums and guitars, but you also have the hurdy-gurdy, you have woodwinds incorporated, and traditional string instruments. So you have so many different elements into just one song. But is there ever something that always comes first? You have to lay down the rhythm first, or is there an underlying melody? Every song is a new approach?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's a little bit the same as I said before. It's the lyrical content of a song is so incredibly important if it comes to the music. So that basically shapes how a song develops, and but usually like our writing process is it's like a really organical process, and with intuition being the main driving force, I would say. So there's absolutely no system or something,
Of course. Now, one thing I'm really curious about is this is actually going to be my first time seeing Eluveitie tonight, and seeing a band live is completely different than just simply listening to them. What I'm curious is there a similar energy that you channel into your live performance as you do when you're in the studio, or is it a completely separate mind frame altogether?
Unfortunately, I've never seen Eluveitie live, so I cannot judge really. But yeah, like according to what I hear from people, it is pretty much the same energy. Yeah, okay. That's what I hope, at least. But yeah, yeah, I mean, it's the same there. Like like when on stage when I sing our songs, it's like I just completely immerse like in the music, and I actually really mean what I'm singing, and so there's a lot of expression in that, and there's a lot of emotion in our shows, and like that, I would say.
I have two more questions for you, if that's cool. One question is going back to the songwriting. This is my favorite question to ask every artist because it's always the hardest question for everybody to answer. How do you know when a song is done?
It will tell you. I think. To me, songs are a little bit like kids. I would say. They get born at some point, that they grow up, but they also like pretty much tell you what they need, and it actually kind of is like that, like once a song grows, it kind of points out, okay, now it needs some more violin, and it need whatever, female vocals or what the fuck ever, and once it's grown up, it will tell you, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. That was actually one of the deeper ones because people sometimes don't know what to say, so they say, "How when I get the final mix back and it's on an album." So, and the final question I want to ask you is: I know, as we talked about before, you have members all over Europe now, but like being that Eluveitie originated in Switzerland, I interviewed Zealand Ardor earlier this year. I interviewed Vervam, who's also from Switzerland. Dreamshade, I know, is from Switzerland. I'm just curious: is there like a active music or even metal scene that Eluveitie is involved in, or did you have to go outside to like Germany or France or Italy to maybe get the name out there?
I wouldn't say the one thing has anything to do with the other, though. We have never been that much a big part of the Swiss metal scene, but actually mainly due to the fact that we grew relatively quickly in the beginning, and we got across the borders of Switzerland relatively soon. It took us maybe like a year or two or something like that, and then we were out and we started touring internationally pretty soon as well. So and yeah, like I mean, we are a band that plays a lot of live shows. I mean, sometimes we play up to 150, 200 shows a year, and basically on every continent of this planet. So we're actually simply not home that much. uh, so that's fine. But yeah, there definitely is a vivid metal scene in Switzerland, and there's a lot of really original bands, I would say. Like speaking of Seal and Ardor, and there's a lot of like there's not so many internationally famous bands, but there's a lot of really creative bands, I would say.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. It's going to be a great show tonight. I just know that you're hitting the road with Lacuna Coil and Infected Rain later this year. Is there just anything else you would like to promote for Eluveitie? This will be uploaded by midnight, so if it hasn't been announced yet, please don't say it here.
Yeah. No, it's basically what it is. I mean, this is now the North American leg of the Ategnatos World Tour. And after this, we'll have a break of 2 weeks and then another 7 weeks in a row with Lacuna Coil and then Infected Rain. And that's basically it, for the rest of the year for us. We do have quite a few actually, quite amazing projects going on, but they're not official yet, so I cannot say anything.
Okay. You'll tell me when I turn the camera off. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the interview.
Of course. Everybody, we are here with Eluveitie, Ategnatos. Pick that up if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.